Hey everyone, and welcome to another Yogi Misfit session. My name's Danny Pomploon, and I'm your host. Today I had my friend Ali Owens on the show. We met, I think it was a couple years ago. She had taken one of my classes. Someone referred her to one of my classes in San Francisco, and she was up here visiting. We just started chatting, and instantly I was like, all right, she's in. She's super cool. And we've kept in touch. I went down to LA a couple times, and she was kind enough to host me and show me around the city. And she's just a really, really, really kind soul. So this last time I went down to visit her, she had a new baby, and I was super excited. And I figured, why not talk about what it's like to have a baby and how your practice changes. And she did this really cool workshop series on Yoga Glow. I hope you guys enjoy the show. And for my moms out there, moms soon to be, hope you get a little wisdom out of this. Enjoy the show, yogis. Hi, Ali. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
How's everything going down in Los Angeles, La La Land?
La La Land is looking pretty beautiful right now, actually. I am looking out at the ocean, and it's glistening, and weather's good. I think it's about 80 degrees. Yeah, everything's good down here. How is it up in San Francisco?
It's actually just as hot. Well, today anyway, it's like 70, I don't know, maybe even it's 80 degrees outside, something like that. It's high up there, and it's nice and warm. I love it because it reminds me of back home in LA. And of course, everyone in San Francisco, though, they don't know how to deal with the heat. So if it gets above 74, everyone's like, it's the end of the world.
Yeah, and it's like the exact opposite for people who live in LA. If it gets below 65, they're like, what are we going to do? Uggs.
I remember looking at an internet meme when there was a shower storm or something like that in LA, and it was a picture of a lawn chair blown over, and it was we at Los Angeles rainstorm, we will survive.
Seriously. And then everyone slows down on the freeways, and you're like, it's really not raining that hard. Come on, guys.
Someone saw a sprinkle somewhere, so that means it's pouring.
Right, exactly. We're blessed. We're very, very blessed.
Yeah, it's not so. Actually, I love it up here in San Francisco too. It's pretty sweet. Although it's definitely not as warm as it is in LA, obviously, but it's still not so bad.
Yeah, I love San Francisco. My husband and I have even talked about moving there in a couple of years. I think it's a really wonderful city. There's so much to offer up there, but we'll see.
And there's a lot of really good yoga up here as well.
There is, which is very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
That's totally how I choose cities nowadays.
Isn't it?
Can I practice yoga there?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And are there studios that'll support my teaching and
Yep.
all of that? All of it. Very cool.
How is your yoga? So for everyone that's listening on the show, Ali is a new mom. Yay, Ali, being a new mom. How's yoga practice going being a new mom?
It's good. It's changed a lot. Your body changes a lot, obviously, through the pregnancy. And so when I'm pretty, I'm about 3 months postpartum. So my body is still kind of regaining its strength and putting itself back together and reintegrating certain muscles. So my practice has shifted a lot. It's also much more home-based. I tend to spend my days with my daughter, and so any opportunity I get to roll out my mat, I do. Whereas before, I would probably go to a yoga class every day and, do some other stuff to train, but it's just shifted a lot. Definitely more meditative, definitely a little bit slower. And really focused on that reintegration and finding my body again.
What has been, I don't want to call it the downside, but what has been the challenges and learning curves getting back into your body?
The challenges, first of all, it's just such a humbling experience because on one hand, your body has just done this incredible thing, which is give birth to a baby. I mean, it is the most transformational experience in a woman's life.
Yeah, everyone stop and conceptualize that. A baby
Right.
human grew in your belly.
Oh my gosh, I know. I look at her now and I'm like, you were in my stomach,
Yeah.
like you see her kick and I was like, I felt that when you were in my stomach. And
Yeah.
so, not in my stomach, in the womb to be specific, but, yeah, it's just wild, to actually like go through that process and to know that your body can do that pretty much on its own. It's remarkable. And the challenges for me in finding my body is that, I had a very physical practice before I got pregnant, and it's just been so humbling to really take a step back in my physical practice and know that I'm not going to be able to do all of the same poses that I used to do, and nor is it really beneficial for me to do those poses anymore. So, so often we think about advancing our practice as getting into more advanced poses. But for me, it's been a lot about backing off, and just saying, back bends might not be a good thing for me right now. And I might need to focus a little bit more on just like holding plank,
Can I pause you for a second, and so that
Yeah.
we get like full context? Can you tell me more about like what was your practice like before that it was so physical? And what did like that routine look like,
Yeah.
compared to now?
Yeah, sure. I was, I'm mostly a vinyasa based practitioner. And so my practice just included a lot of inversions and arm balances and a lot of flow and a lot of kind of tricky transitions where I go from the front to the back of the mat. And I moved a lot quicker, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And I had a very deep back bending practice. I mean, that's something that I've been blessed with physically in my body. But since becoming pregnant, those are kind of like a lot of those things are things that you can't really do anymore. Like you can invert for a while, but after you get a little bit bigger, inverting doesn't feel as healthy, if that makes sense. And the same thing, like back bending, you're already stretching those muscles so much by growing a baby. And so, there's pros and cons to all of these poses and the way that they help your body. And that's what they're really there to do, is help medicate and just really soothe your body and make sure that you're staying healthy. And so it's choosing the poses that do that for you. So for me, I kind of started to back off of the ones that weren't serving me anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Makes total
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially I mean, you brought that point where I think some of us do go into it for like a really good physical practice.
Yeah.
And then whether it's pregnancy or an injury or age or whatever, it starts to shift.
Yeah, and it's so humbling and it's so amazing. And for a lot of us at that point, we start to go more into meditation and more of a sitting practice. And, we find our yoga in other ways. And so that's really amazing.
Ooh, I'm glad you just said that, because that leads me to my next what I was going to, how does now the practice continue for you? Like, and not just, because remember, it's just not the physical, but in addition to like what other aspects of the practice have come through because of this?
Oh, well, I mean, I was so lucky. I've just had so many opportunities to really deepen my meditation, like my sitting practice, over the years. And for sure, being a mom and even like being a wife, there's those moments where you just need to like sit down and clear all of the chatter so that you can show up and be present. My daughter is such a great reminder to be present. She is constantly, I can't pick up my phone around her. She's like, nope, that's not happening.
Yeah.
She'll wail. And, and she's growing up so fast. So much a part of me really does want to be present for all of those moments. And,
right.
I was thinking about this the other day, like we can leak our energy and we can leak our attention to all of these distractions, some of which, are just really, that's all they are. They're just distractions. You don't really need them. I think about this with social media sometimes, if I'm getting way too involved on social media and I'm like, why am I doing that? I have like things I need to do here and people I need to be present for. Um, and so it's just really nice to take a step back. And I think, meditation is one of those practices that oftentimes it comes at the end of a physical practice, but if you can drop into a meditative space at any point in time throughout the day, it's just really going to help to reset you and recharge you. And especially when you're sleep deprived, oh my gosh, like a 20-minute meditation can give you that boost that you need to make it through the rest of the day. So
That's what I need then.
yeah.
And I don't even have a baby.
Uh, hey, you work hard. I
That's
know
true.
you're hustling up there in San
Yeah.
Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an
Yeah.
understatement.
Yeah.
Lots of coffee and not enough sleep.
Right, exactly.
But hey, it works. Well, I guess when you love what you're doing, it doesn't make it work. So that's good.
It doesn't feel like work necessarily. Work is such a hard, work can have a really great connotation to it, but in our society, work kind of gets like this very negative connotation. But
Right.
yeah, it's a passion.
What, okay, so you've got a little human now, a baby human.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see the growth of your practice being now? And do you see like, because you teach, and so is there any
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe I want to start working with kids and maybe I want to do like mommy and me yoga. And because
Yeah.
I know you did, while you were doing, while you were in your pregnancy, you got super inspired and you did a whole series on Yoga Glow.
Yeah, I did. I would love to work with women who are going through that transformation, and especially your first child. I feel like it is such a unique journey the first time you do it, and so many fears show up in that process. And I feel like
Sure.
yoga can really offer us a lot of solutions to overcoming some of those fears and feeling confident in yourself and confident in your body. Um, so yeah, I would definitely love to work with women who are going through that process of pregnancy, and also, postnatally. I think there are a lot of challenges that are very unique to being a mom, and it's such an amazing experience. But depending on the dynamic that's going on at home and what your situation is, there can also be a lot of different stressors, like when do you go back to work, and are you going to breastfeed? Are you not going to breastfeed? There's so many like questions that come up in the first couple of months, and
Sure.
yoga and meditation really give you access to your intuition. And so you get to choose as the mother to have that intuitive ability to, choose what's best for you and for your family. And yeah, I just feel, for me, becoming a mom, it's just boosted my practice and my appreciation for the practice in such a remarkable way. So yeah, I would love to share that with families moving forward. Absolutely.
How was creating that program? Like, what brought it about? You were just like, okay, I need to do this, or I need to put this out there.
I need to document it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I had been, this would be great for you, actually. So I was a model for Jason Crandall's latest arm balances and inversions training
Got
on
it.
Yoga Glow.
Got it.
So, and I've been working with Yoga Glow over the years. I know a bunch of the people who work there, but I'd never been a teacher on the site. And yeah, I just happened to show up for Jason's filming, only to find out a few days later that I was 6 or 7 weeks expecting.
Surprise.
I know, right? And so that started a dialogue with some of the content creators over at Yoga Glow, and being certified and pre and postnatal, I just felt like, again, yoga was such a savior for me in my pregnancy, and I felt like creating this program could really help to introduce women to some of the concepts and the poses that can help them as they move through that process. And being a teacher in LA, as far as online content goes, I had a lot of women coming into my Vinyasa 2-3 classes who were like 7-8 months pregnant. And some, like I said, some of the things in maybe an Ashtanga practice, or and a Vinyasa 2-3 aren't the best for your body at that point in time in your pregnancy. So I wanted to really give people some tools that they could use and some poses and transitions that they could practice so that they could continue to practice and also be safe, nurturing that home for their baby and their body.
So what do you say to the moms that are expecting right now that are like, what do I do? My practice is going to be so different.
What do I do? What do I say?
What do you say? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be different, and every woman is different, and every pregnancy is different, and I think that's a remarkable thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's a further encouragement to remain present with your body.
I think it's like, that's such a, I mean, granted, you know, I had a shoulder injury that I talk about pretty well and often, especially in my classes, but like, it's not a pregnancy, but I had to learn yoga. I actually had to learn yoga in such a different way. I had to learn different body mechanics. I had to adjust a lot of stuff. Funny thing, actually, while I was taking Jason's training is when my shoulder was going through my shoulder injury. So, Jason, that means Jason has this thing to, some secret power to make you learn different things about yoga.
I know. What a great teacher.
You're either going to get pregnant or hurt your shoulder.
No, I know, right? Humbling experiences.
No, but it was like, you know, it was actually really cool to like, you know, not use my arm for a little while. I mean, all of my postures were standing, and even when they weren't, you know, like chaturanga and stuff, I did stuff against the wall, like with one arm or with the second arm to build strength there, not being able to do the things that I did. And I learned so much more. Like I learned so much more in that 9 months than I had ever learned in any training in the world.
Well, you really have to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, like I think when you're in your healthy body, you can kind of do that unconscious check out, you know, try different things, and you know, you're injury free, if that makes sense. But,
Sure.
you know, when you are given an injury, I mean, I remember blowing out my knees a few years ago, and I got bursitis on both of my knees.
Oh,
it was terrible.
No, that's the worst.
And it took probably like 6 months to a year to really fully heal to where I could go back into poses like Virasana and, you know, even be on my hands and knees and tabletop for an extended period of time. I just couldn't do a lot of the things that compromise that joint. So I learned a lot, you know. I think that's actually how I got my press handstand at that point. Like I say that all the time, but it's like I was focusing so much on what I was already good at, and the injury caused me to refocus on the parts of my body that needed strengthening, which was my upper body and my core. And those were like, you know, those were the postures and the poses that I needed that I could practice at that point. So I actually got really strong in my upper body and my core. And that, I think, really became the catalyst for me being able to do inversions and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. It's interesting, you know, like I think sometimes we take advantage of just, you know, not sometimes we do, like you said, like not having that conscious movement, you know, because we're not broken yet, or we're having to adjust or change it up.
Yeah, I think, and it's so good, you know, like change can be a really, really scary thing, but it can also just be a very empowering thing. It can really teach you a lot about yourself.
Are you still teaching a bunch now? I mean, I know you just had the baby, so I don't know. Are you taking time off?
Yeah, I took a couple months off right at the end of my pregnancy, and then at the beginning, I am back to a modified schedule on the weekend. So I've come back to a few of my classes, and I've let a few go, and I'm still seeing private clients and stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah, I am back to teaching, which feels great. I love what I do, and you know, it doesn't feel like work to me. Teaching was never like a work thing in my life. So I feel so blessed to be able to have the opportunity to offer this gift. And, and so, just a few classes on Saturdays and Sundays when my husband can watch my daughter, and it gives me the opportunity to get back in the room.
Awesome. I'm going to make sure that I put your website and all your fun links and stuff in the show notes. And I'm so happy to have you on the show, Ali. I know we've been trying to work for it for a little bit, but yay, I finally got you.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Isn't that fun?
Any last words for the listeners before we take off today?
Oh man. Yeah, please keep in touch, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Until the next Yogi Misfit session, this is Danny and Ali saying peace out.
Peace out.